welcome to our Write-Tukubuli workshop, Marketing Your Publication. I am your host, Dr. Simone Mathieu, and my co-host this evening is going to be author Annette Phillip. And what we're going to do, we're going to have an exchange on the strategies that have worked well for you, and also share on some other strategies to consider as we all try to get our works published and get more sales. That's what it boils down to, right? Because we're all looking to sell our books and get more exposure for our books. So that is what we're here to discuss. Yeah, I wanted to make sure the names are on the screen so we can address each other by our name. So by way of introduction, I'm the author of Push Past 10, which is a simple guide for anyone looking to make permanent change to achieve a particular life goal, and in particular, their health and wellness goal, the goal of getting healthier, losing weight, and staying motivated on that a lifelong journey. So I just want to go around the table. And again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to go around the table and just get your name, your publications, and where you're joining us from as a way of introduction. So Nicole, let's start with you.
Hi, my name is Nicole Georges-Bennett. I write in the genres of science fiction and fantasy. I self-publish all of my work. I have about 6 novels and 1 book of poetry, and I'm very committed to Dominican literacy and the promotion of Dominican authors, and I'm part of the steering committee for the Write-Tukubuli Virtual Literary Festival, which this workshop is going to be, or is a part of. So that's my story.
Yes, nice to have you on board, Nicole. Annette?
Hi, I'm Annette Phillip. I go by author Annette Phillip, and I became a self-published author in 2019, December. I am just about to get my 6th book published, probably in the next couple of weeks. I am a children's author, a novelist, a poet. I don't know what you call somebody that writes chapter books or short stories. I don't know what genre we come under, but I pretty much write any and everything. And I am so excited to complete my Sammy the Bunny series, which I'm going to make Sammy my main brand. It's a children's book, 0 to 8, 0 to 14. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be a writer because, I get so many innovative ideas, and I'm not done yet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for being here, Annette, as our co-host. Kylie.
Celia. Hi, I'm Celia Kwong. That's my pen name. My birth name is Diane John Norris. I'm originally from Gandhi, but I reside in Stockholm. I've published my first book this year, Me and All Else. It's fictional, and I'm currently working on part 2 for that book. My book was published on Amazon, so you can find it there. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, thank you for being here. And I'm not sure if you have a headset, but you sound just a little distorted. So I'm not sure if you have a headset or something you can add just to make you. Oh, you do. Yeah. So I guess we'll just try to listen more attentively. And joining us all the way from the UK, Fran, tell us a little bit more about you.
Hi, I'm Fran. I guess I'm what you call a hybrid author because I've been traditionally published, and I'm now an independent publisher. So I kind of my main focus is women's fiction and historical fiction. I'm starting my 2nd series of books. The first ones, they are tales that are linked between Dominica and London, as is the new one, which starts off on the Empire Windrush, and that was published in June, and I'm working on the 2nd book 2 of that one.
Excellent, excellent. Rebecca, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, hello. So
Hi.
I'm Becky, and I'm an anesthesiologist, and I also love writing. So I published my first novel this year. It's a speculative fiction. It's called The Haunting at Mountain Lodge. So it has a lot of Dominica's folklore, a lot of maroon history in there, as well as environmental protection.
Excellent, thank you. Angela Charles, a name I know very well. Tell us a little bit about you. Angela, can you hear us? You're muted. Let's see if I can unmute her.
Okay, sorry about that. I
No
was
problem.
out. I just came in. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Angela Charles. I'm from Dominica. I live in Canada. I've written 4 books. I've published 4 books. One won an award, and 2 are shortlisted. And I'm on my 5th book. And I hope I could learn something from everyone today.
Yes, thank you for being here. And that is what we talked about in the beginning, that we want this to be as interactive as possible because there's always something we can learn from each other. So I'm the host and Annette is the co-host. But again, we want to hear from everyone else in terms of what has worked for you and what has not worked for you. But I want us to keep in mind as we get started that there are different elements of the writing process, right? So I think we have to kind of keep that in mind because it kind of guides our effort to help us to create a strategic plan. So, we get excited, we have a book idea, we write the book, right? So that's one, writing the book. After you write the book, of course, you have to edit the book. So you have to get an editor to look it over because I can't tell you how many times I read my book over and over again. And then when somebody else read it, the number of errors they found that I would have never seen. So the importance of an editor, right? So once you have that, you have the manuscript. What comes next? Publishing, right? And it sounds like just about all of us have gone the route of self-publishing because we all know how challenging it can be to work with a publisher. And even for those of us who joined in who joined in a little bit late, even Fran was telling us that she had a publisher and that experience wasn't as great as she expected it to do. And the part that many of us do not put enough thought into when we are writing is marketing. Right? So I think many of us get very excited. We think we have a great idea for a book, and we do have great ideas for books, right? And we just think it's going to sell itself. We just think it's going to sell itself. We're just going to put it on Amazon. We're going to put a post on Facebook, and that's going to be it. But I think for many of us, we come to realize that is not the case because there's the initial excitement where your family and your friends will all grab a copy. But then after that, it's crickets, right? So what Annette and I are going to do is to help you to create that strategic plan for what you might want to consider doing when you're marketing your publication. And I know for you, Annette, one of the first things you did was an official book launch. So how many people did an official book launch for any of their books? All right, so I didn't, so I can put my hand down.
Sorry, could you repeat? What did you add? What did you say?
I asked how many of us did an official book launch for our book.
I did.
Okay, and Angela did. I actually was part of Angela's promotion, so I remember that very well. So Anna, tell us the importance of a book launch.
Oh, it's so important because you can get, for me, my first book launch of when Sammy was coming out, I tried to get parents. When Sammy was coming out, it was my first children's book, my first time as a writer, and I was nervous because my illustrator didn't think a lighter was a good idea, but it was based on a true story. So what I did my research. I was a nanny at the time in New York, and I knew a lot of parents and nanny friends. And those parents, and some parents I didn't know, but I met them at the library for story time, at the parks, and then I started asking questions. What they think about a lighter and stuff like that to get their reaction because they have kids. I don't. And it was my first time. And so they said it's okay. It's a part of being curious. They didn't think it had anything to do with cigarette smoking or anything like that. So I felt good about that. And then I said, you know what? Let me do a book launch, but I want it to be big. I don't want it to be like, I want it to be in a venue where it's comfortable, public, and everybody all walks of life will not have a problem with it. So I chose a nice area in downtown Brooklyn where I knew my white friends that would like it. And then I know my Dominican people would not have a problem with it because I had friends from all walks of life. And now, honestly, races does matter because sometimes white people do not like to be in a certain place and black people do not like to be in a certain place. So I got everybody into an area where I know for a fact they were gonna like it. And I was in downtown Brooklyn Commons, and I met with the owner. What I did was like, I paid for the venue, I paid for the food so that they didn't have to, all they had to do was just come and support me and bring friends. And I told everybody about it. I advertised it on social media. I advertised it again through my nanny friends, through the parents that I knew. And I was so surprised. Everybody showed up. A few people didn't, obviously, because things came up, but I got people. And what I did to make it more interesting, I not only was launching my book, but I wanted to incorporate other writers, other authors, other people that did poetry, people that did open mic, people that sang. So I made it into a mixer. And so I had people that brought people I never knew. They end up going on stage. They did prose. They did freestyle, and so it was amazing. It was amazing. And everybody at the end, I had a DJ. I got a DJ. Then I had a woman that sell jewelry. I got her in there too. So I made it into something where everybody was comfortable. Everybody could be a part of it, and they had food to eat, and they had their entertainment, and it turned out so great. I mean, I remember my cousin's wife. She was like, "Oh my God, she took a pic. She was like, she was surprised. A lot of people were a little bit surprised. I was the host, which was my first time hosting, and but it was great. So I mean, I just wanted to make it work, and I was determined. So I think you have to have that determination, that drive. Don't get disappointed because I had a few hiccups, but I didn't make it determined.
Yeah, and I can already hear everybody's thought process going, and you're thinking cost.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So yes, Annette invested in her book launch. But tell me some other options you could use, maybe if you didn't want to pay.
Okay.
So let me open it to the group, Annette. Who can tell me another option you might want to consider? Maybe you don't want to pay for a venue. Nicole?
So I would recommend approaching bookstores that sell books in the genre that you're writing in. I mean, most bookstores do have a range of books, but there are some, for example, that focus on African Canadian or African American literature or Black literature. Sometimes they have special collections. So if you're, for example, you're a children's author, you could find books that sort of bookstores that specialize in selling or whose focus is on selling children's literature, and collaborating with them. Most bookstores will give you a table and allow you to stage an event there for free if they get to take a commission or a cut of any sales that you happen to make at your event, or I suppose you could pay for a table as well. But they will also help to promote the event, which kind of takes a little bit off of your budget, off of you having to budget for that as well. So they'll promote it on their website, or if they have some sort of bulletin board or public board, they'll put your flyer up. And in my case, I worked with Indigo, Chapters Indigo, and they advertised it on their social media as well as took pictures while I was there. So to try and encourage people to come in while the event was still live. So they did promotion for me both before, during, and a little bit afterwards as well, to let people know that the book was still available for sale in their particular branch. So that's something that I recommend.
Yeah, and let's keep the ideas coming. Let's keep the ideas coming. Something else you could try.
The library.
Uh-huh.
The
The
library, because
library.
I'm going to use the library to do my book launch on my third CME. They wouldn't charge you. They actually are going to work with me to launch my third CME as well. So that's another place you could probably do a book launching.
Yeah, so the good news for all of us is the world is open, right? Remember back during COVID when all we were limited to was social media and in my case, radio interviews. Has anybody done a radio interview? Any interviews for tell us about it, Fran. What was your experience?
I did a local radio interview when I had a book published in my pen name, but it was Simon and Schuster, a big publisher, so they were able to contact the radio on my behalf and arrange that.
Excellent. Becky, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I had an interview with Sam George, the interview. Yes.
Yes, I had that. I had an interview with him as well. I don't want to mispronounce your name, so I'm going to call you Kay. And tell us what you've tried so far.
Well, it's me. I did my publishing on Amazon. Amazon can do the marketing for you, so you could pay them, and they will do the marketing for you. With me, I'm not really, taking on the marketing or promotion yet, because I was trying to complete the book too, and then just do everything, one time.
Okay.
I'm like a resource person, and I'm introverted. I don't do social media, and so I want to make sure I have everything together and learn, the process and everything before I can make myself. So I was thinking of just doing everything in my book too, it's published.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the good thing about Amazon, you have those keywords. So when you're putting in your description of your book, you can put in the keywords, and that helps you to get your book in front of the right audience. But the thing about it, and I know Annette has a lot of experience with Amazon, it's like once there's a certain amount of time that goes by, it's almost like your book goes down and down and down and down to the point where it's ineffective.
Yeah, no money.
Yeah, so I know, and let me know your thoughts on this as well, because I know for some of us, what we do is we sell directly from Amazon, but for some of us, we rather buy the author copies and then resell it at our own price. Anybody has experience with either option? Let's hear from Fran and then you, Annette.
The only time I've done like author copies is if I'm doing a book fair. So I will buy, I don't know, a handful of books of all the different books that I have, and pay for a pitch somewhere, and sell the books directly to the public then.
And there are pros and cons to both approach, right? Because the thing about it, for me, I keep one copy of my book for display. And I encourage people to go to Amazon. I do the QR code and a flyer so people can scan the code. But what's the challenge? People want an autograph. People want the book autographed. So how are you going to autograph the book if you're asking them to buy it from Amazon? And chances are you're probably not going to see them again. But then do you buy a whole bunch of books and then potentially get stuck with books on your hands? So what are your thoughts?
I think it makes sense to have them pay you first. And then that way you can order the books and sign them and ship them off. But and in what you charge, make sure you've got your shipping fee covered as well. That's one way you could do it. If, as you said, sometimes our first customers tend to be immediate friends and family, so they know they can trust you, right? To with their pre-orders. So that's one way I've seen some people do it, is to have pre-orders, and then they know exactly how many books or authors' copies that they need to to bring in.
Oh, that's a great idea. Let me write that down. Pre-order book. Yes.
Okay.
Who's struggling? Go ahead. Chime in.
Okay, so
Yeah,
And let
sorry.
Angela chime in, and then you,
Sorry.
Annette.
Yeah.
okay, so I order all my books. I buy my books at a discounted price, and I make sure I have enough money to cover the shipping and some of my expenses. And and the people go through my website and they buy my books through my website. I have and they buy my book other ways, and they like to get it autographed.
Yes.
And I think I said, well, you could buy it on Amazon or you could buy it on Indigo. And they said, well, I want it autographed. Otherwise they'll buy an ebook. So that's
Right.
one of the reasons why people like to have a hard copy.
Yeah. So just sharing the ideas, right, and just kind of seeing what would work best for you, especially for you, Kate, now that you're just getting started. So I'm happy we have a combination of veteran writers versus novice writers, so we can all just exchange the ideas. Annette, you wanted to say something?
No, it's basically I do the same thing too with author copies. What the lady Miss Angela said, I would when I had my website in New York, I would order it and charge a shipping fee, and then they would pick it up. I would mail it when it comes at my home. I mail it to my post office so they could get it. So I love using Amazon for author copies as well. It works for
Right.
me because printing is kind of more expensive. You know, when I first used a printing company, it was a lot of money. I did it once. I couldn't do it a second time. And then when I learned about author copies at a discounted price, it worked for me. And up to now, until I get a printing company that I can work with, that's what I'm using.
Yeah, so going back to launching the book, so we talked about launching your book. We talked about where you could potentially launch your book if if you have the money and you can afford to, you can do the route Anna did, or you can do the route Nicole did. But just think of any organization that you're connected to that would be happy for you to feature your work. So whether it be a church, a community service group that you're part of, maybe a part of Rotary, or maybe a part of, Lions, any organization that you're a part of, that you're friendly maybe with the leaders of that particular organization, many of them are receptive to the idea, because we all know the challenge of getting more and more people to read, right? Especially young people. So I think many organizations would support the idea. And I also like what Nicole said, the importance of pictures. The importance of pictures, because pictures are a great marketing tool. So show of hands, how many people are actively promoting their work on social media?
I do. Sorry, I do.
Excellent. So tell us about it. Tell us what you're doing on social media. And Becky, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, before I go there, since you spoke of Rotary, I am actually a Rotarian.
So am I.
So okay, great. So if you're like connect to Rotary Club of Dominica, that's a member of that club.
Yeah, we're hearing the fan a lot.
Oh my God, sorry. Let me
Yes.
turn it off.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in terms of photos, I did a photo shoot for the launch. So then I just keep circulating those photos on social media and on WhatsApp. And actually, a friend of mine who had not realized I had written a book, she saw my status on WhatsApp last week, and she went and bought a copy at J. So
Nice.
it does help. Yes.
Yes, nice. Fran, your approach to social media.
I hate social media, but I do. Yeah, I recently got a TikTok account because people kept saying, get a TikTok, which I did. I know that at least a handful of people have bought my book on the strength of my TikToks. I try to post regularly, TikTok and Instagram. It doesn't always work out. It takes up too much of my time. But I feel it's a necessary evil, so I'm persevering. I haven't been doing it very long, but I'm going to keep going on it and see what happens.
Nicole?
Yeah, so I was hoping somebody else might want to speak, because what I have to say will take a bit of time, because I actually have I had a friend who had just finished her marketing degree, give me sort of a whole strategy for social media. And I was hoping to have a little bit of time to kind of go through all the different
Yes,
steps. So if
yes,
anybody else, before I do that, if anybody else would like to share, then
yes.
I'll jump in afterwards.
Yes, I want to definitely hear more about that. So my approach to social media, because, I published my book January 1st, 2020, COVID. So I immediately turned to social media. And yes, you are correct, friends. Social media does take time and energy, because what you do not want to do with social media, and for me, social media is more Facebook because I get the most traction with Facebook. What you do not want to do with social media is what they call post and ghost. So you cannot just simply be uploading pictures of your book, pictures of, maybe you at an event, and then completely disappear. Social media requires active engagement. You really have to engage, and that is the star of social media. Hi, Anthony. Thank you for joining us. Let me just mute you for a second. Yes, so social media, it really does take engagement. And the other good thing about social media is the groups, the pages, the groups of people who are in a similar genre to you that you can connect with. But again, you can't just be in there posting your stuff, and you're not really engaging with other people's content, because you're not going to get any results. As a matter of fact, you might get banned from the page from doing so. So, just carving out some time, whether it is every other day, maybe not every day because everybody have busy lives, right? But really making giving yourself the opportunity to engage. Because what we've come to realize with this marketing thing, it's really about your networks. It's really about your network. I think at this point, we all know that we cannot do this alone. We need other people to support our efforts. And the way people support our efforts is when they see that we are supporting their efforts, right? So Annette, I know you have a lot of experience with social media. So let's hear from you. And then Nicole, we're going to come and hear about that marketing strategy, because I think that's important. Annette?
Yeah, it was my illustrator. I have to thank him, Eric, who told me about reels and content. I had no idea what I was 2 years ago. And so I wanted to try it. Because like you, Simone, I have a better traction on Facebook and Instagram than TikTok. So I said, okay. And I started searching for ideas, coming up with my own ideas. And what I started doing was reenacting my books, bringing my books alive. So like for Nola, I would pretend I'm Nola in my novel, Nola's Metamorphosis. And now, I don't know who have read my novel, but she goes through a string of boyfriends. And so two of them, I would always mention their names, Chad or Basil. So I would be Nola, I would be on the beach, and then I would say, Nola, I write a letter to Nola, she's gonna be Chad. I'll do something crazy too, but it has to be about the books. It's not about me on the beach and I'm enjoying the beach. I have to make it about the novel. So that people can understand, listen, she's reenacting, And then my Sammy the bunny, there was one where I got a bunny ears and I made it into blue, the color of my Sammy. And I put it on, I hopped like a bunny. I got a blue dress, blue long boots, went in the park and the woods area close to my park where I lived, and I would hop like a bunny.
I'm looking at Fran, and Fran is like, there's no way I'm doing all that.
And you know what? I mean, I saw books. There were times where people did reach out to me. And people were interested. So right now, even with my poems, I will dress the part. I will especially when I was in New York, I'd go on Amazon. I would shop on Amazon for all different outfits. I was one time when I registered 2 of my books with the idea of copyright, I dressed as a judge. I got the outfit as a judge and I dressed as a judge. I did my research on registering your books and to give people an idea, because I do that also. I talk about self-publishing to people and I dressed as a judge and I had my little scavel or gavel and I hit the table to talk and all of that. So I go really big.
Yes, yes, and and it goes big, but I think we have to find a happy medium of what is authentically us, right?
Yes,
So
exactly. You have to
it
do
doesn't,
what's you.
yeah, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
staged, because if it's
No.
not authentically you and you try to do it, it's gonna fall flat,
And you don't
right?
have to do like me because not everybody's like me. And Kyla said she's kind of reserved, you said. So you probably don't have to do. But what I could suggest, Kyla, what I do, and a lot of people have done that. I did my research on that. You could have like a copy or page of your book, and you do a voiceover. So you don't even have to show yourself, because I do that sometimes. You just show a page, an interesting part of your book that you want people to know about, and you put it up, you do a video of the book, and then voiceover, reading it, and then put little stuff on there to make it interesting. So
Yeah,
people can at least have an idea about your book.
yeah,
Yeah.
but social media is a must, and everything that we're talking about today, guys. Just make sure you're keeping in touch and you're staying on top of the emails. I'm assuming that you're here with us because you're part of the email listing for the Write-Tukubuli Festival. So just keep looking at the emails, because one of the things we're hoping to accomplish from this festival is to have a full service offering to our authors and our potential authors, where we can help you with publishing, we can help you with marketing, book design, which is some of the stuff that Sam is already doing, and everybody's familiar with Sam Judge, right? So we want you to know that you're not alone, that now you're part of this Write-Tukubuli festival, and even beyond the festival, we want to be able to offer you the support that you need to be more successful in your marketing. But Nicole, before we come to you, I don't want to ignore that Anthony joined us. So Anthony, you want to say a couple of words before we listen to Nicole?
Yes, Simone. Thank you, and good evening to the other panelists. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me apologize. I was in the wrong room. When nobody showed up, I thought it was on the half hour rather than on the hour. And then I was like, no, this is not right. Simone would always already have been in here. So I went back to check, and I saw one of the links showing live. So my apologies for not being on time. And at the risk of maybe repeating what was already said by some of the other authors, what I would so the contribution I'd like to make as my intro is that one of the most important aspects of marketing your published material, your book, or other type of published material, is in this era where there is so much other content available, is to define your niche. It might seem counterintuitive, because you might think that you get more bang for your buck by targeting as wide a range as possible. And I'm sure most likely Nicole will have some of that in her presentation on the marketing strategy, but definitely your niche. And that your niche should be informed by the reason why you wrote your book in the first place, who your target audience is, and who you well, your target audience. So if for example, like Annette has a children book, as well as Nicole, your target readers might be children, but of course you will want to target their parents and their aunts and their uncles and those sort of things. So you should start to defining your niche market, what segment of the market, and especially if you're marketing online, then you're marketing to potentially a few 100 million people. So don't be afraid to really niche it down, distill it to the fine aspect of who exactly you're targeting, and you'll be surprised that you get a better result that way. Also the type of publication, whether you decide to not only do print, but also do an audio book or your book in an e-format, all of that is going to be informed by the niche that you choose. And so that, I think, is the most important aspect. And I have some other areas that I will touch on later if time permits. But I think if we can really stress the importance of centering your marketing around your niche,
Mhm.
and also understand that you're branding yourself and your work, but first you brand yourself. So you talk about Annette, and Annette talking about her style. Annette has her brand, and she has been able to marry her brand with her product. Somebody else with a different personality will have a completely different brand. So identifying your niche, really sitting down and clearly identifying the brand. Who do you want the audience to know you as an author is extremely important in terms of your branding, and then make the connection with your material, the message that you're trying to portray in your book.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. And in the interest of time, because we do want to wrap up in an hour. So Anna, just when we come back around, I'm going to go to Nicole now. But when we come back around, let's talk about your distribution, like the different, besides Amazon, the different distribution options. I think somebody mentioned Indigo before, but we want to make sure we know other ways to get our books out there. And also, how did you get in touch with those particular companies, and what was the result for that? But Nicole, over to you.
Okay, so Anthony has preempted me
I'm so sorry.
because no, I mean that's wonderful. So it means that we are all on the same page in terms of what is successful. So he talked about key things like what is your brand. Now that was something that my friend really asked me, and because she started off by asking me, who do you write for? Who are your books for? And my initial answer was, oh, they're for everybody. Everybody can read them. And she said, so that's mistake number one. So what she told me is that I needed to figure out who my audience is. Who is my audience? Who are my readers? When you are writing, who is it that you picture in your head picking up your book? And then that will help you to sort of tailor your marketing strategy, because then you're going to, if your book is for kids, then obviously you're going to be looking at things like schools, maybe churches, youth organizations, libraries. So if your target audience is young adults, then you're going to be leaning more towards social media and, online marketing. Now, in my case, I did not have that much of a social media presence for my books. I had it for all the other projects that I work on, but not for books. So I did have my books up on Amazon, and I thought that that was kind of what you did in terms of your social media marketing. But then she was explaining to me, no, you have all of these platforms that are available to you. You need to figure out which ones work for you and to pick maybe 2 or 3 that you can really do a good job on, rather than trying to spread yourself too thinly. So there's some people who are very good at using Instagram. There's some people who use TikTok. Some people use X or Blue Sky, Twitter. Well, I guess, yeah, that's X now, right? Facebook. So you have to kind of figure out, okay, which of these tools is best for me? Which can I keep up with? Because as Simone pointed out, the key to success on your social media platforms is being able to maintain your presence and being consistent with your presence, and being able to interact with the people who are coming to the page and looking at your posts and, interacting with your videos and that sort of thing. So what I found is, because I had never had any experience with X or with Twitter when it was Twitter, so I was kind of staying away from that. And she was saying, well, no, you really should have a presence there. I still don't. But what I did do is I got onto TikTok and I got onto Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. And I am on YouTube. Now that might be even too much, considering that as much as I've created platforms for my books, I'm not able to keep up with all of that. But what I found out is that there are authors who use them very effectively. And for example, I don't know if anyone is familiar with a young adult author named Sarah Maas. Her last name is Maas, but she apparently has a following of young adult readers who are almost religiously devoted to her. And it is because she has such media savvy, social media savvy when it comes to using Instagram. So she's got these little quick, cute videos. She has all these little blurbs, about books that are coming up, and she gets a buzz going. She does little readings, little 30-second readings, to really whet the appetite of her readers. So each platform has value. Each platform has also techniques on how to best utilize the platform. So I would suggest that figure out which platform you feel most comfortable with. So for some people, Instagram, it's quick. And like I said, you're probably doing 30 seconds to a minute. Facebook, you can have just postings. And I think Annette was mentioning, you don't even have to necessarily show your face, right? You can just use a voiceover. You can do the same thing for a YouTube channel. So that is to say that this is where we're at right now in terms of marketing for books.
Let me chime in very quickly, Nicole, because you're absolutely right. But the other thing we have to keep in mind is the age range that we are targeting, right? So if you're looking for a younger audience, maybe teens into the early 20s, then you'll probably lean towards TikTok, you probably lean towards Instagram. But for me, if you're looking for a more mature audience, so we're talking about people in their 30s, 40s, 50s and above, Facebook is really where that particular audience hangs out. And then even for me as well, because I'm in the space of personal development, motivation, health, what I realized I had to do was get on the ground and get into NGOs, get into health and wellness spaces, right? So even right now, I have a call with the president of the McDonough Walking Club. Right. So you see how that connects. And I actually got, he contacted me for Rotary. So the importance of those networks, right? The importance of getting to the audience that you're trying to reach through the networks that you're already involved with. And you have to be able to step out of your comfort zone. Because many of us, as writers, we tend to be a little bit introverted. I'm speaking for myself. So I want to just sit in my corner and write. But because you're passionate about what you're doing and you believe in your work, you really have to kind of step out. So I want Nicole to continue with what she was saying. And then, guys, I want to come around the room and just kind of check in with you to see what you're taking away so far from what we're talking about. And then we're going to go to Annette and then Anthony, because our time is running short. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so I'll wrap this up very quickly with saying that Annette is onto something when she talks about all of the creative ways she's engaging with the public. You have to kind of figure out, what is it that I can do maybe differently than the author next door or the author on the next Instagram account? What is it that I can do to make myself stand out, to make my work stand out? I think in the old days, what we used to do is send press releases, right, to local media, especially if you were in Dominica and you had just published a book. You get your press release out and you try to get yourself onto the local media platforms and make sure that you get interviewed. Now that we have these platforms and we can market ourselves, you could actually interview yourself. You could actually film yourself responding to questions that you've made up or people have asked you about your work. So, for example, Annette's book is about Sammy the Bunny. So she could actually talk about what is Sammy's motivation, why or what is the particular challenge that Sammy is facing, and ask herself the question, what is it that kids can learn from Sammy's particular adventure? So I'm just saying that she has a very distinctive style and brand, and when you're thinking about your brand, you have to think about what is it that people will get out of your books that they don't get from other authors or another author. So you have to think about what makes you unique and capitalize on that. Thank you, Simone.
Excellent. And also don't be afraid to rebrand yourself, right? So I'm going to give you an example. So this is what Push Past Send originally looked like when I started in 2020. This is what Push Past Send looks like now. Why? Because I felt that it needed a more sophisticated look. So because I know who my audience is, right? I didn't want something that looks like a cartoon to represent my brand. It worked well for the first 5 years, but the importance of looking again, the importance of not being afraid to say, you know what, that worked then, but maybe I need to tweak it a little bit so that it has a new and fresh appeal so that audiences can re-engage with it. But I just want us to take a minute now. Let's go around the room. Any thoughts you would like to share at this point? Angela, let me start with you. Anything comes to mind you want to share?
Oh, okay. Hi. Yes. I agree with what Nicole and Annette said. But one thing I could suggest is that an author should have a website. I'm not sure how many people do, but that's what's recommended by most people. And one of the things is to try to get your books into book clubs. And I've been to 2 book clubs this summer. They've done 2 of my books, and it's really, really effective. And I love what you said about rebranding, Simone. It's really helpful. And I enjoy listening to the tips by the other authors. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Becky, anything you'd like to share?
Well, I think what Nicole said covers everything. The only thing I would add, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with this influencer called Book of Sins on Instagram.
Book of Saints?
Book of Sins,
Sins.
CINZ.
Huh.
Yes, so she actually had marketed the Creole Festival for Dominica festivals maybe 2 years ago. She has a very large following, and she usually will speak of Caribbean authors and their books. I reached out to her when I published my book, but she said at the time she had too many advanced readers copies to read at the time. But you all could look her up and reach out to her because she has a large following.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Kay?
Hi. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm a research person, so I'm just, taking in what everyone is saying, the advice. I didn't even want to join the Write-Tukubuli because I found out about the Write-Tukubuli stuff, and I was like, I don't want to join because I don't want to be in an audience. I don't want to, But I said, you chose to write a book, and you have to push yourself out there. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take the chance, and I joined. So here I am now. So I'm just taking all the advice, and I'm going to put it in,
And congratulations for being brave enough to step out of your comfort zone. So that is step 1. And again, small steps. So we know that we're sharing a lot of information right now, so it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I just want us to think of small goals along the way. So for example, what do you think you can do maybe this week, right? And remember the goal, sell more books. Right? But if we only focus on sell more books, it doesn't work. So we have to focus on what is the wraparound initiatives that we need to be a part of, and then in turn sell more books. Right? So congratulations. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being brave to be here. We expect to see you again, and we expect you to be a part of the community. And thank you so much for being candid.
Thanks.
Yes. Fran?
Okay, so one of the things that hasn't been mentioned is a mailing list. So that's one of the things I try and do, is get people to join my mailing list. I do have a website, What else hasn't been covered? I disagree, Simone, about the TikTok as well, because I get more engagement from TikTok than I do Facebook. And whereas I always thought, as Anthony was talking about, is knowing your reader.
Yes.
I always thought my reader was a lot older, but I've had people who seem to be kind of like late 20s who enjoy the book. And on TikTok, I tend to read passages from the book as well, which people kind of like. Facebook is doesn't work for me. Neither does X. So it's kind of TikTok and Instagram are the things that.
So the lesson. Thank you, Fran. So the lesson for UK as a novice is to test the waters, right? Test the waters, and thank you for that, Fran. Test the waters and see which one gets traction. And then that is an indication of which one you should follow, because I mean, it's just overwhelming. And there are different applications you can use, like Hootsuite, where you can populate all the platforms at the same time. But the problem about it is the tone of each platform is different, right? So I recently started posting on LinkedIn, and you can't use the same tone you use on Facebook, because LinkedIn is a professional network, right? So you can't just jump on there and say, hey guys, check this out. No, you have to come and you have to type this nice, academic piece and make it appealing to the people on LinkedIn. So that kind of throws out, for me, it throws out options like Hootsuite, because again, your tone has to be different depending on which platform you are engaging in. Annette, let me come to you, because I want to make sure we get the different distribution options. And then Anthony, I think you wanted to share a couple more points. So I'm going to come to you, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, so over the years, I've used a lot of different places and done a lot of stuff to get my books sold. And I'm so happy, because I have sold a lot of books, and I can't even believe in 6 years, how much money I've made off. I had a savings account for books when I was in New York, and now I'm here, and I just got here like 10 months ago, and all the books I brought with me are sold, and I ordered how many times. That's why I'm looking to a printing company. So I'm so thankful. I don't know if because I push myself so hard, I make them believe. Yes, I make them believe my book is good. Thank you. And they see the potential, So I did pop-up shops. I don't know who pop-up shop is going to work for. I don't know much about if it's in Dominica, Kayla, but I know in the US, I'm sure in Canada, England, pop-up shops is a big thing. And I would research. I just used to research ways to get my books marketed and sold. And I came across pop-up shops. And when I went to those pop-up shops, I went to the pop-up shop one time all the way in Babylon. That's in Long Island, all the way far to the end of the train line. I found myself there, and and what I learned from pop-up shops, you meet other people at pop-up shops that know other pop-up shops. So when I did those pop-up shops, I ended up doing a ton of them because I knew other people. And then, you pay $100 on the table, but sometimes I did not make it back. But then I learned a lot. I grew, I learned a lot, and I socialized with other people, and I networked. So that helped me to get into other places. And we did pop-up shops at schools. So I got my books, I donated them to certain schools and stuff like that. And I met a lot of teachers at pop-up shops. So that worked for me. And then open mics. I did open mics. Now, open mics are mostly poetry people. I'm a poet. So as one way to get my poetry book sold was open mics. So I would do that. I would go to open mics and I would tell them about my books. And then again, you meet people, you give your card, they give you their card. So that worked for me as well. Since I moved to St. Kitts, there's a ton of daycare centers here. And when I was in New York, I worked so much, I didn't get the time to do that. Here, it's small. So just going into town on the bus, I'm seeing a whole bunch of them. So because I go to work for 9 o'clock, I can have a reading at 8 o'clock, which I did. So I visited a few of them, and they were so welcoming. Oh my gosh, they were so welcoming. And they said, okay, pick a date, come at 8 o'clock, which works for me because I go to work for 9. So within 8 to 8:30, I can read a book. And I got to sold my books doing that. So that works for me. Daycare centers, preschools, like I think Nicole had mentioned it earlier, going to schools and the library. The library was my first target when I got here. And I remember wanting to donate, and they said to me, no, we're not going to donate. We're going to buy your books. It's your work. We're going to buy it. So the library is a must. So I did all of that. And these are ways that I distributed my books. I got my books published. Donating is also very good too. Although they know that your books are for sale, you can still donate even if you know that. It still shows that you want to get your book out there.
Now what about online distributions? Did you use?
I'm getting there because I made a list. So when I signed up with Ingram Spark, right, and which is good. Ingram Spark is also good as well. Ingram Spark is a distributor, a big online distributor. So what they do, they put your books into other online bookstores. So I found out that because I went on Ingram Spark, my books were on other online bookstores. So I ended up having my books on 8 online bookstores, which was really cool without me even knowing. But once you with Ingram Spark, you automatically get tracked in, you get distributed to different online bookstores. So that's good. So
now, is there a cost for it?
No, but Ingram Spark is like Amazon. You publish on there. But the difference is so what bookstores do in the States, when they want books, either to get to their store, their physical store, or their online store, the Ingram Spark is the way to go, not Amazon.
Okay.
It's a distributor. Now, what I noticed when you go with Ingram Spark, you get on some website called worldcat.org, which is an online library.
Say it again. World what?
Worldcat.org. Yes, it's an online library. So once you hook up with Ingram Spark, you automatically get on worldcat.org. So when I research, my book is on there, and so these are all platforms. So what you would have to do, you would have to check and see what's going on with your books and stuff like that. So this was one of the ways that worked for me with online bookstores. And of course, I met people like groups, like we mentioned on Facebook, because Facebook works for me too, because there's a lot of groups that I got involved with. And there was a particular woman that so when you sign up with her for those novelists, it doesn't matter, children's books, novelists, poetry books, you have to promote her page. You have to promote her page on your page, and then she puts you on her website, and people buy your book.
What is her name?
So I have to get her name again because I can't remember it right now.
No, you didn't write it down. That would have been helpful.
I'm just remembering her as I'm talking.
Okay, because what I'm doing, I'm actually making notes so we can actually write it out and then distribute it via email to everyone.
I will find out because my books. So people buy. So what they do, they go on share the link, and then they buy your ebooks, and you get the money. Then she comes and you get a review too. So that's a great way to get reviews. I'm Sandra something. I'm going to get it for you, Sandra something. Since I moved to St. Kitts, my mind, But yes. But I got a lot of sales for my books. People can physically and ebooks, and then what's important? Then she emails you. And she shows you that the person bought your book, and you get the review. So that
does that at no cost?
No cost. All you have to do is just when she send you the link, you post the link on your page and advertise.
Yes, please send me that information because I'd love to be able to share it with the group.
Works for me.
Yeah.
My book sold there.
Yeah. But we're running out of time. I want to make sure we respect everybody's time. But Anna, thank you so much for that. Yes. If you have any others, you have my email.
I will send you my list.
Yes, please do, because I want to make a compilation of everything we're talking about and distribute it to the group. Anthony, we have about 2 minutes. So if you want to chime in with the rest of the information you wanted to share, and then we're gonna wrap up for the evening.
Yeah, so I'm just going to keep it short because we're out of time, and I would just like to reiterate the importance of understanding the branding aspect of it. because people will buy your book because of you more than they will probably buy it because of the message that you have in the book. I remember Annette Brandon very well because she was on This Week in Interviews, she was on TDN. We
She was on
broadcast some
Push
of her
Past
poetry.
10. She's everywhere.
Exactly. And what was significant about Annette is that Annette replaced her first name Annette with author. So you would remember that she's an author before you even remember her name. You might say, "What that's girl name again?" She's an author. She wrote a book on. You remember the brand before you even remember the name. So if there's any message that I'd like to leave with tonight is to say, remember that the branding and you don't get to share a message if you keep it covered under a bushel. So it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but take the risk. And as Simone said earlier, one small step at a time. Don't throw yourself out there and then you get terrified and you find yourself reversing. But just set small weekly goals. Push past them, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Set that small goal, build your stamina, and go for consistency. So
Yes.
so even if it's one platform you choose, if you post something every week and your audience gets used to you doing something every week, make sure you show up every week and you do that so you don't disappoint them because they will purchase your stuff based on emotion. And I have more, but we have other programs as part of Write-Tukubuli, and we'll catch them there. But thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, and if you want, Anthony, you can also send me the information because again, I'm going to put all the information together. So guys, if you want to get in touch with me for any reason beyond this program, you can always reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com. So that is pushpast10@gmail.com. And I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank everyone for engaging and showing your passion and the interaction. I think this was a wonderful session. And anybody has a final thought they would like to share, Nicole?
Well, Simone, I just want to thank you for sharing your experience and your expertise with us, and Annette as well, and everybody else who chimed in. And as you say, it's a small step. So I think what we need to do is to set a goal for ourselves, maybe during this festival or even for the next couple of weeks. Perhaps if maybe it's just something as simple as opening up an account on one of these social media platforms. If you don't have a Facebook account, for example, or you don't have a YouTube account, just set one up. And it's as easy as putting up perhaps a photo of yourself or a photo of your book and with a little summary, and just set that as your initial goal and work from there. So small goals, big steps.
Yeah, and the idea of to get motivated, just tell yourself, let me just do this for 10 minutes, and it will give you the momentum to keep going. So just, it's uncomfortable, it's outside of your comfort zone, but just say, you know what, today I'm going to work on this for 10 minutes, and you will be surprised how you can push past those first 10 minutes and get to working for an entire hour. Annette, you had a final thought?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. So I don't know if any of you know, I have a program on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Storytime with author Annette Phillip, Facebook Live. And I always like to have guests on.
Yes.
It's been picking up really nice. And I started a year ago. It wasn't planned, but it's been what's the word? Trending.
Traction.
And, traction and trending, and it's been doing great. And I do welcome guests. If any of you would like to come on, let me know. And love that. Yeah,
that would be great.
Love that. Yeah.
What is your email address, Annette? So I can.
Let me put it in the chat.
Is there a chat on the? Yes, there's a chat on the private one. Yeah. Yes, so put it in the chat. That's a wonderful.
Especially for Kyla too. I'd like you to get. I had this young woman, Keisha Charles, just published recently, and I had her, and it was like blow up. I mean, as an author, I don't get thousands of views. It doesn't matter because at the same time, you can't guarantee this we're going to buy your books, but 500 views, 400 views, it's a lot for a writer.
Yeah. Go ahead and put it in the chat before we wind down. Becky, Fran, Angela, Kay, anything, last thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, it's great to have support. We can support one another, and I think we need that. And
Yes.
I hope we keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so guys, thank you for being here. So Annette's email address, AnnieP3071 @gmail.com, if you can see the comments. So again, ANNIEP3071 @gmail.com. And it's great practice. It's great practice to get on with Annette and do that interview, Kay. I hope I'm going to see you on that interview. I'm going to come in Stockholm and look for you. She's our baby, so we're gonna make sure, we want to support everyone, but especially the novice writers, because we need more people to get into the space, right? To continue the tradition of writing and encouraging young people to read more as well. So I'm gonna expect to see you, because I follow Annette. So I'm gonna expect to see you. But yes, go ahead, Becky.
What's the title of Facebook?
Oh, yes. What's the title of your book?
It's Me and All Else.
It's Me and All Else.
Me and All Else.
And it's on Amazon.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And I'm hoping at some point during the festival, we'll have a list of all the authors and all their books, so we can, again, support each other. So everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out on your Sunday evening. I know there are many other things you could be doing right now, but thank you for being here for this Write-Tukubuli workshop, Marketing Your Publication, hosted by me, Dr. Simone Mathieu. And I look forward to seeing you again as we continue the festival. So with that, you enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you for being here.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.